Yo, Skill Pro. Today I'm going to break down how I make dark, hard-hitting beats for Moneybagg. Yo, let's dive right in. So this is the beat we're going to break down from scratch. Okay, first of all, let's break down the loop I've made. And I start this loop off with this phrase. Only thing I added to it was in drastic EQ, and this phrase is from my free Vision multi-kit. If you need a multi-kit with Portal presets, with phrases, with accents, with MIDIs and with some loops in there, check out my SoundKit website, link in the description. As I said, the pack is free, so get your hands on it. Second thing we added is our classic low piano. As you already know, has to be in every single sample. As always for these dark melodies, the dark piano is from Contact, the Noir Pure bank with the dense preset. Next thing I added was this melody. And I used the Black Forest piano preset from Analog Lab 5. And then I add an EQ to cut out all those lows that we don't want to have in there. One trick you can always do is just take the same melody you have and layer it with another sound. So in that case, I layered it with this string sound. Also from Analog Lab, it's not a string, my bad, it's a key getaway from like one of Kavi's kits, I think. And just listen to the difference it makes. This is without the layer. This is with the layer. Doesn't make it any more complex, doesn't make it any more complicated. So just as a rule of thumb, every main melody you have, just layer it with something else. Something more in the background, something that gives it more texture, more ambience, whatever. It will make your loops 20% better, I guarantee you. So second to last thing I added was an accent, also from my Vision multi-kit. Link is in the description. And here's what that sounds like. It's a nice choir accent to add some fire extras to it. Last thing I added was this bass from Analog Lab as well. The preset I used was the Bass Selm. That's what the whole sample sounds together. Okay, let's jump into the other FLP and let's break down the drums. Okay, so here's what the finished drums sound like all together. Let's start off with the 808. Now, if you ever made an 808, you know there are so many different kind of patterns you could make. Place 808s there and there, and there are your like basic standard spots where you can always place an 808 and it will sound good. But what I see most beginners do is just have too many 808s. So for example, if you're just spamming them like this, all the time, it gets too much. So keep it simple. Sometimes don't fill out those patterns. Maybe on the second one you add some more, or you add on the first one, you add those, and then you take out this one. Whatever, there's so many variations you can do. Yeah, that's what we do for the first 4 bars, and then at the end of the first 4 bars, I like to add in some little roll, transitioning into the next part. Again, there's so many different rolls you could kind of do. You could do something like this as well. You have pretty much unlimited options. Just make sure that you add the rolls on the timings where you would add a normal 808. So don't make a roll like here, make it here where the 808 would hit anyway. So make maybe a roll here. Of course there's exceptions to the rule. You can place 808s at the same hit as a snare and it can go hard. But just as a general rule of thumb, always add your rolls where you already have an 808 hitting. And then we just copy the pattern over and we'll change up the 808 roll. We'll add some more, whatever, right? Sky's the limit here, right, really. Next up, the clap, pretty simple. Always have it hit it on the downbeat, downbeat. Then for the last one, added in this counter clap. Now you could pretty much have a clap playing the whole way through. And it wouldn't sound too bad, but it's just too much. So just having a little accent or a little counter snare or a little counter clap where you would place the counter snare can make it way more interesting. And that's just in the 4th, and in the 8th bar we have that little switch up. Next up, let's talk about hi-hats. Whenever you want to make beats for Moneybagg Yo or his Memphis artists, keep them simple. Don't add the craziest Southside hi-hats. Just have some rolls here and there, but besides that, just a simple 2-step pattern will do. Same here, we have the same pattern every 2 bars. Doesn't really need more variation. It's simple, repetitive, and that's what kind of catches the ear. Keep your hi-hat simple, make a 2-bar pattern, copy it over, and maybe change something in the 4th or in the 8th, or don't change anything at all. I think those repetitive, simple hi-hats will make the best hi-hats, will make the best bounce, because for the human ear to like really get to listen to something, it has to be repetitive enough so we can catch a bounce and not get interrupted by new things all the time, but at the same time it can't be too boring. So that's why we add like 3 rolls every 2 bars, more than enough. Next up, I added this perk. Now you can add either a perk or a snare, always on those like in between notes. Sometimes I like to do rolls as well, just what sounds good really. Next up, I added 2 open hats, this one and this one. This is kind of my sauce. I always like to have 2, one that's kind of reversed and one that kind of lays under the 808. If you have one of your hi-hats right before a snare hits, so it kind of fades into the snare, you can make it hit harder. And that's just a simple trick that pretty much everyone uses already, but if you didn't know, just try it out. Have your open hats fade into your snares and it will sound way harder. So that's pretty much it for the drums. Now when it comes to arrangement, it's pretty simple as well. We take the whole melody. For the first part of the intro, take some stuff out. Second part of the intro, have everything play with either a bass or the 808. Then we'll drop into the hook. First part of the hook, cut some things out, cut out some drums as well. Second part of the hook, have it pretty much all play together, maybe cut out something from the melody. Then we'll drop into the verse, take out a lot of things of the melody, take out maybe the 808, but you can also take out some of the hi-hat, you could take out the snare. Doesn't really matter, but 808 and hi-hat are most common, I'd say. Or you can even take out all the drums if you'd want. Had to switch to I think you get the point. Then we have second part of the verse, which is much fuller, but what I like to do here is add some variation into it with the clap and the hi-hat. So what I did here is I cut the hi-hat out in the first part of the first bar and then cut the first snare hit out in the second part. If you're not really listening for it, you cannot really hear it. Of course you sense that something is different, but most people would not be able to comprehend what is missing. So that's just a simple trick to make it more interesting, make it more unique, but at the same time don't make it too complicated for the rapper to rap on. Then we'll drop into the pre-hook again, go into hook again, go into the verse again, pre-hook, hook again. Just pretty much copied that part over and over. And then last we just add an outro. For the outro, what I like to do is just take out the 808, just have the other drums playing, and a very, very minimalized part of the sample. Pretty simple. And I also don't have them play on the second part, so the sample itself has some time to fade out, but it doesn't really matter what you do here, it's just an outro. And also I advise you, don't just copy what I do. Maybe take the framework, but don't just copy, like, for example, this stuff 1-to-1. Just try to do your own stuff and make your own kind of unique things, and that's how you kind of develop your own sound. If there's one sound you always use as a perk, or if there's one thing you always do in your second part of the verse, or you get the point. It's just develop your own sound, just copy this and learn from this, steal like an artist, but implement your own sauce, implement the own things you've learned from other sources and not just my videos, and just put it all together to develop your own sound. Hey, I hope you learned something. I hope you're enjoying the daily grind. I'm posting every single day until, I don't know, at least for the next 3 to 4 months. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Peace.